One of the first videos I ever made for my channel was one titled Why Tales of Arise Combat is Amazing. I love combat systems in RPGs, and if I could spread the love to others who might find potentially something new they can love, I just really enjoyed doing that. Also, I wanted to show the haters. But today, I really wanted to tackle one of my favorite games of all time that contains my favorite combat system in an RPG, Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, since this is like my favorite game, I really wanted to do it justice and wanted to make it even better than the previous video I made. Before I start gushing about how amazing this combat system is, I do want to go over the few points I had for my Tales of Arise video on what I believe makes a combat system so good. On harder difficulties, it needs to be tough but fair. It needs to be fun on the easier modes for people who don't really want a super challenge. It needs to be responsive and smooth and give the player a lot of control. You have to be able to tackle situations in a lot of different ways, and there needs to be a good risk versus reward. Now let's see how Kingdom Hearts 3 stacks up in each of these categories. Now, to test if Kingdom Hearts 3 is fair to the player on harder difficulties, let's go with none other than Yozora, the hardest super boss in the game. So, I love Souls games, right? I like getting my ass kicked by super bosses. No joke, I fought Radon for 4 hours on stream, and that dude is significantly easier than Yozora's moveset to learn. On critical mode, you have a perfect counter that's going to give you significantly more damage if you block it at the perfect timing, and that is only here for critical mode to help the player out. You also have risk dodge, which is a whole nother type of dodge where if you click circle at the right time, you're going to fly right behind the enemy and get a really good stagger on them. And then in general, Sora's dodge roll is really smooth and has a good amount of iframes, letting you dodge pretty much every single ability that comes at you if you time it correctly. Now, what about the bosses? Are their movesets cheap and try to troll the player, basically? Not at all. Every single one of these moves from every single one of the data bosses and Yozora himself with his unorthodox, weird combos, you can counter them, you could dodge them, and most of the time, there's even a secret opening that a lot of other players have figured out that a lot of other players won't even know you could stagger the boss. Right here, I want to show the beginning of young Xehanort's combo and how I normally can just dodge the move and counter back at him. And then I'm also going to show, once you get a bit more skill, how you could actually just decimate on these bosses. Every single one of these bosses too, all 14 of them, have really intricate, deep designed movesets that really challenge the player. And even through the base game, some of the main bosses were honestly really good. Like the triple Nort fight at the end of the game really challenges the player. And again, you can dodge and block every single one of those moves and find an opening to counter. The other big challenge in the game comes in the form of mob fights, and I think you have plenty of tools to tackle these. You have shot locks that could completely nuke the entire map, you have limits that could nuke the entire map, and you have magic and grand magic that could nuke the entire map. With Sora's movement too, he's really fast. You can move around the area and basically see where all the enemies are at most of the time. Now, what about the other difficulties? We can't forget Proud Mode, Normal Mode, and even Easy Mode. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is much easier than any of the previous games from Proud Mode and below. They definitely made it a bit easier if you're not on Critical Mode, but to be honest, dude, the amount of people I know in my personal life that aren't big gamers, but they wanted to play this game, whether it was the Disney or just pure interest in it, they had the most fun ever on lower difficulties. Like my cousin, for example, she is not a gamer, she played on normal mode, and when she jumped in those rides and was riding the roaring rapids and stuff, she actually was having a blast. So I've seen many people just have a great load of fun with all these cool tools and things like that on normal modes. Usually if you're a challenge player, you're just going to be playing critical mode. Why would you even play on the lower modes? So I think Kingdom Hearts 3 did difficulty pretty damn well in my opinion. That critical mode is one of the best challenge modes I've ever played in an action game. So now let's get on to the second point, player control, the smoothness. How does Sora feel to move around and play? I absolutely love Sora's moveset in this game. He's just fast and all over the place. I even like how he could be in the air so much. So when you're comboing, you could cancel out of any of your moves to get out of the way. When you're in the air, you could use items and block incoming attacks. You could even jump off a cliff and skydive and slam your enemies. Again, your dodge roll is very smooth and has a good amount of iframe. One of my favorite things ever is air step. It lets you warp to any enemy across the entire map, and this is really good for bosses to find openings. Sometimes you can't even hit them. Well, no big deal. I'll just fly and teleport directly at them. Ways to push your enemy into a stagger. This game gives you a lot of control to manipulate your battles. I also think the Keyblade transformations are just incredibly fun. Yeah, they pretty much just equal more damage for each of them, but seriously, they are awesome to look at. And whichever you choose is going to show some player expression, right? Some people are going to like Counter Shield to get some insane counters. Some people are going to like Crystal Snow so you could skate around the place. There's a whole bunch of player expression here on how you want to combo. In terms of Sora's actual combo modifiers, they're really good now. The game had a little bit of an issue on launch with its combo modifiers. Some of them were way too slow, the finishers were too slow, and then with the Remind update for free for all players, they added a bunch of combo modifiers that are just fast, intense, have a oomph to them, and some of them are even fan favorites from Kingdom Hearts 2. And then this leads me into the next point on my list, which is various ways to tackle a situation. Kingdom Hearts 3 gives you so many tools that whatever you end up gravitating towards is probably going to let you get out of any tough challenge, as long as you learn it good enough. You could build Sora like a mage and use one of the magic keyblades and just send fire at the enemies. You could build them with strength and just use the Ultima weapon after crafting it and just nuke everything. You could go in and practice limits like Wreck-It Ralph. There's a whole bunch of different ways to tackle situations in this game. And again, it's all so fun. You almost feel like a superhero in this game when you play as Sora. There's actually an absurd amount of ways you could play this game. Like, imagine just using one Keyblade a playthrough. Even that is going to give you a bunch of variation and stuff to learn. Like, you use Counter Shield the entire playthrough, you're going to get so good with Counter Shield. Some people will do a Kingdom Key run. That's always really fun. That gives you second form with its own abilities from Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. There's so many different ways to play, and I just find it so joyful. And then the final point is the risk versus reward. Now, I was talking about how amazing the boss fights are earlier, and that's because of the risk versus reward. There are so many ways to get openings, but sometimes if you send your ass there with an air step, you might just lose the entire battle. So it's when you pick your openings and what you choose to use in battle. Some Keyblades are just going to be a lot better towards certain bosses. There's also Keyblade switching, and that helps to extend combos because if you save some Keyblade transformations, it actually extends your combo if you're attacking with a transformation or using a grand magic. So you really have to strategize to keep them on hold because the timer is going to be going when you unlock the transformation. So it's like, in 30 seconds, can I manage to get this guy into a combo, go into the Keyblade transformation, use a grand magic, and just extend it? And you'll be doing some crazy long combos depending on how much you want to risk it. I loved going through critical mode for the very first time through this game and going to situations that were so easy when you normally went through the game and you just have to tackle them completely different. Critical mode really does change the game, and it's so much fun to strategize with. Hopefully I gave a good overview on why I think Kingdom Hearts 3's combat is so amazing. It's really hard because Kingdom Hearts 2 is legendary, and as much as I love that game dearest to my heart, I have more fun in Kingdom Hearts 3, and mostly it's because of the challenge. It just gets a little bit harder because the data battles have more movesets. Yozora has more movesets than the Lingering Will, and you know, the game is newer, so they had more time to make these things, and they really based a lot of this off of the positives of Kingdom Hearts 2. And I'm so excited for the future because from base game to Remind, there was such an improvement. I was like proud of the team. So going from Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind over to Kingdom Hearts 4, I can only imagine how good the combat system is. And I hope they keep the points that they kept when they made Remind, which is player control, there's always openings, and fun. Because that's what games are all about, right? Having fun. And seriously, Kingdom Hearts 3, I have the most hours on this game, and I can't tell you the amount of action games and just combat systems that I've went in depth with. So Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm honestly going to make this into a series. It's a really fun thing to do, and since Tales of Arise, I really wanted to do one for Kingdom Hearts 3. And I have many other games I want to do this type of video for, so let me know what I could improve on, let me know if you enjoyed the video, and please look forward to more videos showing off combat systems and RPGs. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon. Peace.